Outside Boston, St. Mary's Sacred Heart Church stood as both a house of worship and a convent. Here, young women devoted their lives to God, renouncing worldly pleasures. They spent years in training, learning faith and service before assignment. It was the last Saturday of March. Evening Mass began as Mother Superior Agnes introduced a new arrival. "This is God's special child," Agnes announced, presenting Maria. She was born not to chase earthly joys, but to serve the Lord. Maria offered no smile, no acknowledgement. Immediately after the introduction, Maria quietly walked to her room, avoiding all eyes. One young sister, Ruma, leaned toward her friend. "Didn't she seem off to you? Like she didn't want to be here?" Her roommate, Monica, whispered back a warning. "Don't say that out loud. If Mother Agnes hears, we're in trouble. Let's wait." But Ruma couldn't shake Maria's hollow eyes. The next morning during prayers, Ruma noticed Maria standing in the back, murmuring as though resisting the hymns. Curious, Ruma moved closer. What she heard made her heart race. Maria's voice had deepened, sounding eerily like a man's. A shiver ran down Ruma's spine. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Ruma crept to Maria's room. She peered through a crack in the door. What she saw made her blood run cold. Maria sat twisted in a chair, arms and legs bent at unnatural angles, forced into position. Her neck was crooked, eyes sunken deep, and teeth looked black like burnt coal. Suddenly, her head snapped toward the window. Ruma's scream pierced the night. Other sisters and Mother Agnes came running. Ruma lay trembling, gasping for air, pointing. When Mother Agnes looked inside Maria's room, she froze in horror. Grabbing a crucifix, she bravely entered, praying softly. But as she approached, Maria leapt off the chair, growling like a wild animal. Agnes held out the cross, but her hands shook. The crucifix fell to the floor. Maria's pupils turned jet black, her fingers bent backward with a sickening crack. Then she lunged. Maria bit deep into Agnes's arm. Blood spilled as Maria chewed, her face expressionless, chillingly devoid of emotion. Father Steve, hearing the commotion, rushed in, pulling Agnes away. He quickly locked Maria inside, terrified by what he saw. Everyone in the convent was terrified. Father Steve knew this was no illness, it was possession. The air crackled with dread. The next morning, he gathered the sisters for prayer outside Maria's room. Holding a silver cross and holy water, he prepared to enter. As he sprinkled the water and recited verses, Maria screamed, clutching her ears in agony. Then she collapsed, motionless. "The spirit is gone," Father Steve declared. But where the holy water had touched, Maria's skin blistered, as if burned. When Maria awoke, she was weak and pale. Mother Agnes tended to her, whispering, "Rest now, the Lord will heal you." For 2 days, Maria lay silent, refusing food or drink. On the 3rd day, she asked for water, then devoured her meal like a starving animal. The other sisters watched uneasily. Her eyes darkened again, and she began speaking in strange, unfamiliar tongues. Her moods grew wilder. "How does she know so many languages?" one whispered. "She grew up in an orphanage." Maria went still again, as if nothing happened. Father Steve admitted Maria was beyond their control. Father Edmund, an experienced exorcist from New York, was urgently called in. Late Friday night, Father Edmund began the ritual. Maria was tied to a chair, surrounded by candles and crucifixes. As Father Edmund chanted and sprinkled holy water, her pupils turned black. Her lips curled into a demonic smile. Voices of men, women, and children echoed from her mouth. As he prayed louder, the candles blew out at once. Then the floor beneath her cracked open. Suddenly, Mother Agnes clutched her head and screamed, "Stop! I'll tell you everything." In a shaking voice, Agnes confessed, "This began a year ago. Maria never wanted to be a nun, she wanted a normal life." She sang in the choir every Sunday at St. Peter's Church in Boston. Father Neil, a young priest there, fell in love with her. Forgetting his vows, he began a secret affair. When Maria became pregnant, he panicked. She wanted the baby, he refused. He came to me for help, and I told him what to do. That night, during a storm, Maria went into labor. Only Neil and Nurse Julie were there. The baby was born alive, but we told her it was stillborn. We buried the child. Agnes trembled, confessing. We thought it was over, but Maria's grief was unbearable. She spent nights at the grave, calling for her child. Then one day, she called me and said she wanted to become a nun. I thought she had found peace, but something followed her. Father Edmund's eyes widened. Her guilt and her child's spirit, that's what's inside her. He began to pray faster. Maria screamed, twisting her arm until it snapped with a sickening crack. "Call Neil," she shrieked, her voice inhuman. When Father Neil arrived, Maria looked at him and began laughing, a horrible, echoing sound. "I'm sorry," he cried. But as Father Edmund raised the cross, Maria's head jerked back. Suddenly, both Neil and Agnes were lifted into the air. The candles reignited spontaneously, flames leaping onto their robes. "One sin, one punishment," Maria hissed, her body then going limp. Agnes and Neil burned to death before anyone could reach them. Maria was rushed to the hospital, barely alive. She recovered weeks later, but never spoke of that night again. Father Edmund, who had performed countless exorcisms, said he had never seen evil so powerful. Afterward, both St. Peter's and St. Mary's Sacred Heart were shut down permanently. But the screams and shadows of that night never truly left. For Maria and Father Edmund, the terror haunted their dreams forever, a lingering echo of an unspeakable evil.